Fridays at 4 p.m. Central Time. We are just, again, we have a special guest that we just can't wait to bring up. But anyways, before I do that, make sure we start sharing the video. Start sharing. We're going live, so we need you to share on all your social media platforms. So again, the Black Podcast is about spreading the news, spreading the knowledge, sharing, leveraging your community, your family, your friends. So please make sure you are starting to share. My name is Dr. Sherelle Hobson, and I am one of the co-hosts of the Black Podcast. I'm a student athlete resilience coach and an athletic program enthusiast, and I really have a strong passion for helping coaches to create a safe and effective program for their athletes, in particular our African-American males. And so I have a doctorate in sports administration and leadership, and my study was on African-American males and the effects of athletics on their educational plans. So it's really important to me to share and provide coaches with how to make their program productive and increase their matriculation. And so that is one thing that I take a lot of pride on, and we got a lot of projects going on with that, and so we'll share that on another time. I'm also an author of Seams of Gold, Discovering Beauty in Brokenness, as well as Unleashing Your Full Potential. And both really help people to acknowledge the current space that they're in. A lot of us, naturally, we're resilient people, but when we have to really spend some time with ourselves and discover where we are in our own space, that's what those two books are about, helping people discover who they are internally, outside of what people see and how people may perceive them to be. And what I'm most passionate about is our Black community and our young Black males. So we have a lot of projects that are coming up that we want you to make sure you're tuning in and checking your emails for our newsletters, because we are looking to be very productive in the Black community.
Yeah, what she said. Guys, I'm thrilled to be back in front of you. We have hiccups here and there that sometimes we aren't as in front of you as often, as frequently as we would like to be, but you're going to be seeing more and more of us. As I mentioned, Brian Street, I'm the founder, CEO of Your Legacy Begins Now. Partnered up with this young lady, Dr. Sherelle Hobson, to start another venture to where we're really just out here impacting lives with a focus on the Black community. I started speaking in Miami and really putting my name out there when it comes to youth development back in like 2014 or so. And I started to see something at the agency I was working with that didn't sit well with me, whereas lots of youth of color were aging out of the child welfare system without the necessary skills to make a successful transition into adulthood. I saw that the system wasn't really doing anything to rectify that issue. So I said, you know what, let me figure out what I can do. I can figure out how to develop some funds and divert some of those funds toward developing these programs to be able to help these kids make a more successful transition. And that's what I've been working on for the last 5-6+ years. And thankfully, I don't have to do it by myself anymore. So working with Dr. Sherelle Hobson has really helped me be able to reach more people. I'm so thankful that I was able to connect with her. She and I are really in the process of pushing the necessity of group economics when it comes to our community, whereas there's not enough of us that support one another when it comes to business, because when we do, we can position ourselves to keep that dollar in our community for a lot longer and eventually start to generate or create generational wealth that we've been missing out on for generations. I could go on and on about myself, but this isn't about me today. Typically, we'll have her tucked back, hidden backstage, but we don't want to waste nobody time. Thank you, Ms. Kae Whitaker. How's it going?
It's going good, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we are just so excited about having you and just learning more about who you are and the things that you do. So we were just, when I told Brian that we were going to reach out to you, he was like, okay, shoot some stuff over to me about her. And he was like, wow, she's doing a lot. Then she had a whole train of kids too. I'm like, she's doing it big.
Yeah,
I was like, we must get her on to know what she got going on. What is she drinking? Because she got it a lot, a lot of productive things. And so we're just so excited to have you, and congratulations on your endeavors. You're doing amazing.
Thank you. Well, it's an honor to be here. And as I was listening to you guys introduce yourselves, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing because, I have kids. So it's always a special place in my heart when I see people that are really tuning into the youth of our community. You know, we're adults. Once we get to be adults, yeah, we need some help. But like you said, it's very often that our youth don't have the resources that they need. So when I heard that from you guys, it just makes my heart melt because I have a son that's a teenager, and he's a Black boy. So I want to make sure that he's a part of things and he has access to resources that help him develop and become a productive, contributing member of society. So high five to the both of you all for that.
Thank you.
And
Brian's getting jealous with the sister love over here.
I know, right?
He's used to being always men and they take over the show.
Let me take the mic. I'm gonna let you talk. But, I'm listening to what you said about your son, and like, when I first moved to the community that I live in now, I would say my son was about 5 years old, and there were tons of little boys in the community. I would say maybe 2 out of like next to 10 or so kids. Maybe 2 of them actually had a father at home. So they would all come over here, and this one kid, and it makes my eyes want to sweat a little bit every time I talk about it.
We don't have time for your eyes to sweat right now.
He told me, it was like, I want you to, no, he started calling me his daddy. You my daddy. I'm like, no, I'm not your daddy. My daddy. And like, while in one instance, I'm like, don't be putting that on me. At the same time, it made me realize like how bad he's hurting. Figure. So that's why I do what I do. That's why I do what I do.
Absolutely. Well, we want to know more about you, and that's why we titled this show "The Woman Across the Board," because you got so much going on. We don't even know where to start. Where I do want to start is who you are, and where you're from. Let's talk about your life, how you grew up. Let us know more about who you are as a woman.
Okay. Well, my government name is Shakira Whitaker. I was born Shakira Malone, and that's my maiden name. I'm from Houston, Texas. I grew up in the sunny side part of Houston, Texas, South Park to be exact. I grew up in a single parent household. My mother worked. A lot of times I would go between my mom, my grandmother, and then my grandmother's sister so that my mom could work and provide for my brother and I. Growing up as a kid, I was active, even though we were in the hood. My mom sent me to school outside of where we lived so that I could get access and see what else the world had to offer. So I was always in magnet programs on the bus at 5 o'clock in the morning, going to school. But that's, it helped to kind of shape who I am now. We always, even with my kids now, I try to make sure that they understand, you are a Black person, and that comes with many different things, and there are amazing things that we do, but mommy and daddy, my husband, both don't live the type of life that you live right now. Like, it was a struggle for us. So these things may be nice, but you need to appreciate them. And we're going to go back so you can see what it was like to be us as children and to give to some of these kids that don't have what you have, so that you can know that this is a luxury and not something that you are entitled to, because you got to work for this, just like we do.
You gotta add that extra "gots to" in there. You said, like, look, I'm not now.
I'm not playing with you. A whole lot of sweat, blood, tears. So, I'm a woman. I'm in my 30s. I like to hang out. I'm just, I know professionally we'll get there, but I'm just your roundaway girl that wanted to do better for my kids and wanted to make sure my kids lived a life that was less stressful than what I lived as a kid. And that's where we are right now.
So when you talk about how you grew up with your mother, obviously your mom being a strong Black woman that you seen worked and provided and did all that whatever she needed to do to provide for you guys. During that time, when did you really discover, hey, this is what I'm really good at, or this is what I know I want to do? When did you have that moment in your life?
I was in the 7th grade. I was in the 7th grade. And I was going to a school that was probably an hour away from where I lived. If we lived on the southeast side, the school was on the northwest side. And I loved music, and I was an athlete. And I was at school, and I was playing basketball. I played street ball at home because there were nothing but a whole bunch of little boys around me. So I got to go to the park, but I had to be home before the street lights came on. But when I went to the park, I played with who was there, and that was the little boys. So I learned how to play basketball, but I knew how to play street ball. But I had a mean jumper. And in the 7th grade, I was at school playing at PE, and my gym coach called my mother and said, I need her on the basketball team. And she was like, we don't have a car and we live an hour away from home. She was like, don't worry about it. I got you. Where do you live? And it was a little boy that rode my bus that was trying out for the boys basketball team. And the only reason why he made the basketball team was so I could have a ride home.
We work it out when we need to work it out. We like, look, we got a situation here and we need to work this situation out. Well, that was a blessing for you and him.
We and him, because he got to sit on the bench. He was happy being on the bench.
Hey, he was a lot further than he would have been before. He would have been on nobody's bench. He would have been in the crowd. So,
so he was fine being on the bench and being in uniform, but I got exposure to a basketball team that won. We traveled. At the same time, I was playing music. So, as the 7th grader, they expose you to everything. So I picked up the flute in the 7th grade. And between those two things, I was like, oh, this is it. Like, this is amazing. And I was good at both of them. And that's not a bragging point. Like, I did a lot of stuff that I was not good at. But those two things I was really good at. And when my mom discovered that I was good at it, she nurtured it. And whatever we needed to do, whatever sacrifices needed to be made, she made them so that I could participate in those two activities.
wow. That's amazing. So what are some of the lessons you feel like you learned when you started to join, sports? I'm also an athlete. I did sports my whole life. I did basketball as an 8th grader and a little bit in high school, but I would always, do a fast break because I was naturally a track girl. So I would do a fast break, but half the time I don't have the ball. You know what I'm saying? The ball wasn't going as fast as my feet, So my dad was like, "You're gonna have to slow down or dribble faster because you gotta make it to the basket with the ball. That's the plan." So I said, "Let me just stick to." So my job, I was good. I knew my job. My job was defense. So you throw the ball and you give it to your teammate because she can shoot. Yep. That was my job, and I knew my job, and I was okay with that because I had track on my mind. Well, when your parents are in the crowd, like, don't shoot. Pass. Most time he's like, I think I'm about to. They like, just pass the ball. So coach was like, I was like, it looks clear. They like, no, pass the ball. Stay in your role. So we understand our role. Being a part of a team and the things that sports really help to shape. Mm-hmm. You started to discover this talent and this confidence. Like, hey, now I can see I'm really good at this and I'm good at that. So when you got through middle school, on your way through high school, what was that experience like going on to, did you go to college after that? Did you go straight? Okay. So what was that transition like for you? Just making a decision now, I'm getting out of high school. This is what I'm about to do. And you knew exactly what you wanted to do from there forward.
Well, so I played sports through my 10th grade year. And in my 10th grade year, so a little bit of history about my high school career. I started in one place and ended up in another. So I went to an engineering school that was on the north side of school. And I went because that's what people in my family told me to do. They were like, you need to go to the engineering school. It's going to be a good look. But I hated the school and I hated engineering. So I started flunking. And my mama was like, this is weird. Like, this is not my kid. I was flunking, I was fighting, I was cutting up because I didn't want to be there. And they kept putting me on this bus. And I was like, this is not it. One day I had a little moment with my mother. And it was the only time I got to have this moment. She gave me a pass. And she was like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I don't want to be a GD engineer. Insert what it was. And she was like, excuse me? I was like, I don't want to do this. And she's like, what did you say? I was like, you heard me. I don't want to do this. If you send me back to that school, I quit. She said, you don't have to quit, baby. She took me out and sent me to the school that was around the corner. And when I got there, instead of going into sports, I just stuck with band. But I went through my band career in high school and I chose band for my college career. But looking back as an adult now, the confidence that I got going through that process with being an athlete, I was always the only little girl. So I was the only little girl around all the time. So I'm always playing in my neighborhood with other little boys that were playing sports because the girls didn't want to play sports. They were cheerleaders, and I didn't want to be no cheerleader. So if I wanted to play, I had to play with the little boys. So I was playing with the boys, but I felt like I could do that because, hey, I'm the stuff at school. I'm the only little Black girl at my school. Everybody at the time, I didn't know that there was stuff going on behind the scenes. My mom kind of kept me from that. But at the time, my coaches were making over me. My band director was like, this girl is amazing. So I just felt like I could conquer the world. Mm-hmm. So as an adult, that confidence started to go with me. So when I would go to work, I felt like I could do whatever because I've always done whatever because my mama said so. And, I've either been the only girl or the only Black person in the room. So what can you do to me that I hadn't already seen? I'm going to get over this. And there's nothing that I'm not going to be able to do because this has always been my life. I've always either had to play with the boys or play in a crowd where I was the only one that looked like me.
Wow. Now, I'm wondering because growing up from the age of 4 until I finished high school, I was in some type of sport. Started off with t-ball, then basketball in middle school on top of baseball. And then when I got to high school, I was running track, playing basketball, playing football. What else? Track, basketball, football, and baseball. And when I became a dad, I had a little boy first. And I'm like, yes. I didn't make it to the next level. So I went to college. I walked on the team. I didn't make the cut. The birth of my son was my second chance.
Come in by carefully for yourself, baby. We got to do everything you get to do.
Like you gonna make it. I didn't make it. You gonna make it. The boy ain't got an athletic bone in his body.
Listen, I feel your pain because my son is the athlete, and I thought for sure my girls would be the athletes, and it's not. Like I have one that's a musician, but my other two are real prissy, especially the 8-year-old, and she the one that'll play and pick flowers while everybody else is running around the track. She in the middle picking flowers and making stuff pretty.
They telling her track, and she just
she in the way.
Yeah,
she ain't doing none of that. She just started to show an interest because she can run. Her dad was a track star, so she can run. But you ask my 16-year-old to do a squat, and she like, "What you want me to do?
Why? Am I picking something up?
Why am I doing?" It's like you're killing them. So they don't have an athletic bone in their body.
Yeah, and I say that to say it's often, especially, when you were successful as an athlete, you are wanting that for one of your children. I didn't get it with my son, but you mentioned band. He actually went into band. So he made the percussions his 7th grade year. So he does his little drumming thing, and he's into robotics. He was tested gifted before we left Miami, and so we, like you said, no expense, like whatever we can do to make sure he gets the best of the best, we're gonna do it. So in mentioning all that, based off of the things that your parents did, because my parents were like me, like, boy, you're gonna be playing basketball. So from the time I was little, I had a basketball in my hand. I was on the court while they was out there. Come out here and play ball, boy. And so that was passed down to me, and I would just kind of, continue that process. Now, when it comes to your parents and then you and then your children, like what type of continuity or lack thereof would you say is in play?
It's different. I'm learning to evolve because my mom was the way she was with me because of our circumstances, because of where we were. My children aren't raised how I was raised. They don't know, they haven't experienced the things that I've experienced. So sometimes, like in the discipline area, when I come down on them, I'm like, they don't have a point of reference for what I'm talking about. So I have to be careful about the tradition of parenting and understand what I've created. And me and my husband talk about this a lot because we almost feel like it's a double-edged sword, right? We both said, because he came up a little rougher than I did, and we both said, okay, when we have kids, that's not going to be the life that we have for our children. We want them to have better, but at the same time, not having kind of made me who I am. So now that I'm giving or I'm able to provide and they don't have those struggles, you almost feel like, is this really the way to go? Because there's some level, I've got great kids, but there's some level sometimes of like gratefulness and some things that they don't see because they don't have a point of reference of what it looks like not to be in this position. So the way I parent them has to be a little different. Where my mama would have knocked my block off, I have to kind of talk them through and do some more showing of examples and really helping them to understand, because their vantage point just is not the same as mine is. There are some things that they experience that I experienced as a child because it's just the world we live in. But from you got your own room. I didn't have my own room, and my brother shared a room in our teenage years. They're
I
just
couldn't close the door.
they couldn't close the door.
You don't close no door unless you got a job.
So it's just it's a difference. Now there are times where I'm like, "Oh, I sound just like my mom," and my mom laughs because I was mouthy as a kid, and I've got mouthy kids. So I would find myself looking up from the floor when I be bothered from my kid, like, "What happened? Why am I not on my feet?" But I don't have the same parenting style. But I'm learning not to have the same parenting style. I started as a parent with the traditions that I knew because that's what I knew. But as I get older, as my children get older, I've got two that are teenagers and two under 10, and they're completely different eras of children. When they go to school, they see things that are different. So I'm all over the place from a parenting standpoint. I feel like I'm six people at one time because everybody needs something different, but it's just what we do.
Wow.
Yeah.
So fast forwarding to you where you're at now, the businesswoman that you are, how did that transition go from, because a lot of times you hear about women saying, I really would have loved to do X, Y, and Z, but I had kids, I got married, blah, 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 and their dream went out the door.
Mm-hmm.
What was that transition like for you when you decided I have to be a mother, a wife, and you got to be good at all of them, right? Because you can't just be in the space. You got to be.
You got to be 100%
Yeah,
areas.
in
Yeah.
all areas. So what was that transition like for you? How did you, that mental transition, like, hey, did you have to have a conversation? Like, this is what mommy about to do. What was that whole experience? Because we want to talk to the women that may feel like, hey, I have this business plan or this job I'm trying to pursue, but I have kids and I have a family. What was that transition like for you? To tell us about that journey.
So when I became an entrepreneur, I've been doing this now for 7, going on 8 years. So that means my 16-year-old was 8. So I had an 8-year-old, she's 3 years old, a 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old. No, she's 8. So she was just in the world. So she was 9 months old when I decided that this was it. Now, my older two, I did what my mother told me to: go to school, get an education, get a good job. That's what I did. So when my older two, when I had them, 6 weeks after having them, I was back at work. By the time I got to the 9-month-old, I was married. Life was a little different, but I found myself working like I was working by myself. Like I didn't have help. And it was times where I wouldn't see my kids, where I would literally be working and I would leave them. Their dad would drop them off at school. I would get out from work and I would come home and they would be in the bed. And I was like, oh no, this ain't going to work. This is not going to work. So I talked to my husband and I said, and it was so funny. It worked out because I started doing the business while I was still working. And then a month later, the job said, oh, we're doing downsizing. You got to go back. I was a regional manager and they were like, you got to go back into the store. And I was like, no, I ain't. I've been there, done that. Y'all gonna find a job like this one, or I quit. Like, it's over. Y'all give me a severance and I'm gonna just go home. And it never worked out. They didn't find a job. The first of the year came and they were like, are you coming to work? And I was like, I told y'all I wasn't going into the store. So send me my severance. I'm gonna go apply for unemployment and that's it. And my husband was like, you done? I was like, I'm done. So I didn't have an exit strategy. So I'm not telling anybody to do it like I did it because I didn't have an exit strategy. I didn't have a plan, but I had enough frustration in my current situation for not being able to be home and be the type of present mother that my mom was, even though she was working. I had enough frustration and enough guilt that made me do something else. So I would go to work and cry because I was like, this can't be real. Like my mom worked 2 and 3 jobs, but she was still at every game. I saw her before I went to bed. There was not a moment that I didn't see her. And she was working more than what I'm doing. Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I really doing? And I'm not a single mother anymore. I've got a husband that said, whatever you want to do, we're going to figure it out. So let's figure it out. So I don't know if I quit or I got laid off, but something happened. I didn't have a job anymore. And I was at home all of a sudden with the 9-month-old. And I thought I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. I thought I was going to go home and I was just going to raise my babies and I was going to be happy. And I quickly realized that I'd rather go to work. So what I asked for, I was like,
Right. So did you ever feel like you had a selfish moment? You know how like people start feeling selfish when you want to focus on your business plan? And I don't have children, so I don't know, but I have enough people around me that do. Like
so
Brian.
There's almost like a curve a roller coaster that you go on. So in the beginning, you're excited, you can conquer the world. I told y'all I was really arrogant. I felt like I could do anything. So I'm a manager and I'm a supervisor at work. I got all these employees. I make all these decisions at work. So surely I can run a business. Well, I didn't know anything about running a business when I came out of work. So I quickly learned when I decided that I was going to, try to have a business, I learned that I was still going to have the hours work. I still might not see my kids. What made it different, though, was I was doing it for myself. But there would be moments where I would be really excited. You almost feel like there's something wrong with you because you're like, oh, I'm really excited. This is in the beginning. I'm really excited because I'm doing this and it's for myself. But then you look at the bank account and you're like, ooh. That
doesn't match.
Yeah, that
doesn't match my work.
When I was going to work 16, 80 hours a week, there was a check in the bank account that kind of made it worth it. But now I'm working this amount of hours and there's still nothing there. And your spouse is looking at you like, what you gonna do? We got bills. So, like, what's gonna happen?
Like, give me a minute. It's gonna come around.
So there's always this roller coaster of this is great. Oh God, what did I do to my family? This is great. What did I do to my family? And I think that's a natural roller coaster. But what helps is understanding why you're doing it. And everybody's not fortunate to have a supportive partner. So it's not like everybody's partner is going to say, go and, if you jump off the cliff, I'm going to jump with you. That's not everybody's story. So a plan is going to be really helpful so that if right now your situation is not what you want it to be and you want to change it, that you can figure out what type of support you have. Just because your spouse doesn't support you doesn't mean he's not a good spouse. Just means they may not understand what's
Yeah.
going on. So you need to gauge what type of support you have and understand how much of your role is going to be taken away from your family. Make sure your spouse is okay with that, and then make a plan to eventually get to where you want to be. Had I have been a little bit more mature at the time, I probably would have taken that job and went back so that my husband wasn't stressed out having to carry the load of a two-person household now on one income. But he carried it quietly, but it wasn't necessarily fair that he had to carry it quietly. So I probably would have done things differently and taken a little bit more time to be strategic about the way I came out.
Yeah, and it's always hindsight is 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I knew then what I know now. Trust me, I can relate. At the end of the day, that communication, like keeping
Yeah.
each other on the like letting that individual know what you're doing, why you're doing it. Yes, we may have some ups and downs and those roller coasters. Oh my goodness, those roller
Oh
coasters.
man.
And another thing for anybody who's watching is having a good relationship with your landlord.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm telling you, all these people that I get on the phone with, that I pay bills to, I'm trying to build these strong. Because if things get tough, I want you on my side.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that could be your friend in the entrepreneurial space. But you're about to say something with that?
Well, that's correct. And making sure that don't think that because you're ready to jump that the other person is going to be ready to go. That's not necessarily always the case. Like sometimes there's going to be some reservations, and you might make a decision together that is where that person may not be completely on board, but they give you the space out of love to allow you to do it. But that don't mean that they're going to be just as excited about it as you are. So don't expect them to be turning flips just because you turning cartwheels, because their mind is still in, okay, we have to maintain our family. So
Right.
when that happens, there's a tension that's going to come with that. And I've seen couples go from really here to, and this separates them because of the lack of understanding of the emotions and the responsibility that comes with this. So if you are in that type of relationship, don't expect your spouse or your significant other just to be about it like you are. And if they're not, then understand that this is what you want.
Right.
This may not necessarily be what they want,
Right.
but they love you enough to allow you to pursue what you want to do. And if they ain't happy when you happy, it's okay. Just keep
Mhm.
working if that's what you want to do. And when you get there, um, don't be belligerent about it when you make it, because
Yeah.
they had some sacrificial moments as well.
Yeah. When they talk about from a biblical, we talk about God has a purpose and a plan for your life,
Mhm.
right? And sometimes I know for me personally, a while back, I was so exhausted with trying to explain to someone that I either talking to or getting to know, whatever, whoever, even if it's a friend or a girlfriend, whoever, that it was exhausting trying to explain what I knew my purpose was to somebody, right? Because it's not meant for them to understand. That is not theirs, right? So a lot of times we spend so much time trying to get, don't you understand what I'm trying to do? Why aren't you supporting me? And they're like, I have no idea what you're doing.
I did what you
And sometimes you don't even know what you're doing, so you can't even explain to them what you're doing. But
Yeah.
the key is finding someone who believes in you as a person, not believes in what you do.
Exactly.
Because who you are is always essence of who you are is always going to be the same. But you may decide, hey, honey, I decide I want to sell hot dogs out of the truck. He may be like, I'm not sure about these hot dogs, but the fact that he knows that everything that Kay touches is successful, or that she's going to go hard, or she's going to be 100%, that's what he knows about you. So he's going to go into it supporting you because he knows you. So it's really important, like you said, building that relationship and knowing who your partner is. And you mentioned knowing your why. You know, when somebody knows your why, hey, this is what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about young Black males and making these changes. So I'm going to do it until these bags under my eyes are gone.
Yep.
And so that's what I want to do. And anybody who's in my circle in my life is going to have to support that.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have to understand it, but they're going to have to support that. So you have to make sure, like you said, that you're in a place that the other person is just like whatever you need to do. And that's a blessing that you had, you know, support, because like you said, on both sides, many men don't have support in the vision that they're trying to, you know, pursue. And women, you know, women don't always have a spouse either. So it's always that struggle for trying to get people to align or understand or support your vision. So thank you for sharing that. So when you are now into your business space and you discovered that why, what was that why for you, and what was your driving force or purpose behind your business that you have now? And let us know what your business is.
Okay, so now I am a digital marketing strategist and consultant. So when I left that job that I either got fired from, laid off, whatever, I don't know. When I left that job, I was working with brands that had companies, and I was helping them to use social media to create awareness about their business. And I loved it. Like, I like to be online. I'm okay with being on Instagram all day. I enjoy it. And I know that that is not something that everybody enjoys, but I'm okay with it. I like to laugh at funny videos. I like to make content. It was just really something that I loved. And once I realized that I could do it and make money from it, I was like, oh, this is it. Because I originally thought it was about website design. And I was designing websites and people wasn't getting no traffic to the website. And I was like, friend, you got to go tell people that the website is there. You're not going to just, if I build it, you got to go and tell people that it's there. So I got the most joy out of helping people find audiences. And when they make sales and they're like, oh my God, Kay, somebody bought something, it worked. Or they said something nice about my website, they loved it. I was like, see, I'm going to do it again. Go do it again, friend.
Like, I'll send you the invoice.
Great, now you can afford to keep me on. Let's keep this party going. So that part, I don't know where that came from, but it's just something that I am the biggest internet dweeb you will meet. So like if there is something going on the interwebs, I'm gonna figure it out. And I'm gonna make it work to my advantage, and I'm gonna teach somebody else how to do it. The majority of the base of my business are women that are Black women that are trying to establish themselves online. A lot of them have families just like myself. So while I was growing and building the business, I was creating a community as well. So it was more than just about the marketing. We would spend time talking about, okay, my kid is crazy today and I'm ready to hang everybody in my house. Let's talk about that. Let's start there. So I'm a therapist, but I'm helping them get their stuff in order as well. And it just grew into something that now it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. We've got a podcast that came out of it. Before COVID, we were planning on having like little pop-up events in the cities where my audience is. We'll get to it at some point. But it's really more so about the community of people that I'm able to help. The digital marketing stuff is just the service that I offer. It's just the thing that I do. When COVID hit last year, however, I did freak out just like everybody else. I was like, okay, everybody's at home. Y'all know we got 4 kids. I got a toddler. So I was like, OMG, how is this going to work? I'm not going to be able to work with my clients because the kids are at home. And, how do I balance my time between the kids and doing this work? My team was all virtual. So it wasn't like people could come into the office. And so it was just a whole panic attack, just like everybody else. So I started doing influencer marketing. I started getting paid from brands to use my social media to promote for them. And my 8-year-old wants to be a YouTube star. None of them have, well, they have social media now. The 2 older ones do, but I've kind of kept them from the internet just because I'm on the internet all the time. So I know what the internet is, but I'm starting to teach them and it's starting to become a family thing. Like my husband is even, he's not a camera person. Like he hates to be in front of the camera. And now like, when do we need to go take pictures? When do we need to do this? So it's grown into something that I had no idea it was going to be 8 years ago when I started it.
Wow.
You just said something. It's grown into something that you never thought 8 years ago that it would become. Now,
Mm-hmm.
speak to the persistence of that, because there's a lot of people that are listening and they see entrepreneur. It's the new sexy thing to be. I'm going to be an entrepreneur today, and at the end of the year, I'm going to be taking private flights. Like, how did you, like, individually, not dealing with the family, like internally, how did you deal with the, oh my goodness, like it still ain't happened yet. It still ain't happened yet. It still ain't happened yet. Like, what kept you pushing throughout that time?
Small thing. So I'm a big reflector. So I like to sit and kind of analyze what's been happening, what I was able to accomplish. And my business wasn't what my business is now until maybe year 4. And even in year 4, it wasn't what it is now. I just had a positive number on the P&L statement at the end of the year. Like that was just where I was. And it wasn't a lot. It was just, there truly wasn't a loss. But every year I would sit and just kind of analyze what I didn't miss out on as a result of doing what I was doing. So it's really easy to say, well, I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have this. But I'm a Christian. And since I walked away from whatever that was 8 years ago, I've never been late on rent. We've never missed a car payment. We've always eaten. Every time we've moved into something that was bigger and better than where we were before. Our kids have been able to participate in anything that they wanted to do. We've gained some weight because we're happy. So even though the bank account might not have said $1,000,000, my life said, this is okay. There were continuous check-ins with my partner. How you doing? Hey, babe, how you doing? How you feeling? Because he didn't understand it until maybe 3 years ago. He was like, I still don't know what you're doing, but you're happy. I'm happy. He got used to me being at home. So, if I mentioned that I was going to go to work, he's like, ooh, why? Why you want to do that?
And the hot meals are going to stop coming.
He was like, oh, I eat every day. I don't know if I want you. So he know what comes along with me going to work. So he's like, So I looked at more of what I had, not based off of the money that was in my account, but the quality of my life. And that was the why for me. I wanted to be present. My kids don't know anything about mommy not being home when they get home from school. They don't know anything about, I'm in here now, so they see the work that I do, but I drop them off, I pick them up. When we get home, there's time, we're doing homework. So I was able to do those things. We're doing Zoom meetings now with my team, and my kids are like, oh, mommy got 7 people. Oh my God, they work for you. Like they get to see that, and Tim gets to see it. So that for me was way more important than what the credit card said. Now we balance, right? Now it's like, okay, we get to do both. But in the beginning, those first 4 years, I just had to look at what God was giving me that did not equate to green money.
Man, that's beautiful. I got two specific takeaways. One, being content, learning how to be content in where you are. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and dang, I just went blank. But being content in where you are, for one, and it just left.
It comes.
That's
Let's
like,
come back.
it's just like to understand that it's gonna take patience.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the other one, celebrating the small wins. So
Mm-hmm.
understanding that maybe I don't see this great big paycheck that just came in, but chipping along. I'm chipping along. I'm chipping along. And I'm so much further this year than I was 2 years ago. And if you don't celebrate those little achievements, the big negativity, like you said, that's going to be in front of your face. So focusing on the positive and not so much on the negative.
Yep.
Love it.
Absolutely. So, okay, what do you do when you're not working? Because I know I hope you're not sleeping with the phone.
Oh, believe it or not, I do know how to cut off. So I do know how to set boundaries. As much as I love it, there is a cutoff time where you're not gonna hear from me. So when I'm not doing this, outside running around with the children. My son runs track, so summer track is about to start. We actually
tell me right now, you don't have no time with track season. That's a whole nother ballgame. I know. It's all 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, especially if it's 4x4. Like, dang, you run the last.
That was his race. He's a long distance runner. So he would run the 400, he would run the 800, and he would run the 4x4. And you know that 4x4 relay is the last relay of the day. So that means you got to be there at 6:45, and you're not leaving. You don't know when the race is gonna happen, so it's not like, oh, I'll be back at 1 o'clock when they. You just
I tell parents that the first day we have a meeting, when I used to coach, I would be in the Orient. I'll have my first meeting with the parents, and I tell them, I say, don't plan anything on Saturday.
Nothing.
Okay, nothing at all. Don't plan anything because I don't know when we're leaving, and it'll be like, you don't know what time. No. So if you know that your Saturdays can't be open, track is probably not the sport for your child. Do not ask me if they could go home after they run the 100 meters. The answer is no. So the ones that I knew that were there, they knew. Do not go ask her if you can leave because she's going to go nuts.
Get your tent and get there early so you can get you a good spot in the bleachers. Get you a good cushion seat, seats, blankets for the little ones. So when it get hot, you can lay down this little blanket with some ice packs down there. They can take a little nap.
Some bread so you can make some sandwiches because we're not going anywhere.
Yep, that's what you're gonna do from. What is it? We start running. They start practicing now, but they start running in April, and don't plan no vacation during the summer. Especially if they're good, because then comes Summer Olympics in July. You can just forget about your whole.
That's it. I try to tell parents that all the time. This is not a basketball game. Okay, we're gonna be here for a while, so please don't ask me when are we leaving because we're not.
My first year as a summer track mom, I was like. And my husband knew. He knew.
Because you were spoiled with basketball.
I was
spoiled in the gym.
I was like 3 shades darker than what I came into the summer. I was like, I don't know. I was thinner because I was sweating every Sunday. I was like, this don't make no sense. But the thrill that you get from seeing this baby run, like, it's worth it. It's completely worth it. But we got ballerinas, we got bands. So sometimes we have to divide and conquer. So it's really, I'm on full-time mommy duty. We're running. And, last year, because COVID shut us down, we kind of shut it down. But this year, we've just made the choice to pray. And, we're going to figure it out. We're going to put on a couple of masks. We're going to stay 6 feet away from people and let them get out the house because they about to, I sleep with one eye open because I just don't know.
Okay, I just, as from a woman to a woman, especially a Black woman to a Black woman, you are doing amazing things. And just to see your glow and how much passion you have into something that someone sees as something small, like, we talk about people's different strengths. Like when I get a headache when I think about having to make another post on my Instagram. I'm like, I don't know what else I'm going to put. I have a headache. If I can I was telling Brian today, if I can just give somebody my account number and just let them just do it, because if you want to be good in your business or, your business to prosper, like you have to be on there consistently. And it is very time consuming. And for me, it would always mess with my mental. You'll see somebody make next bestseller. You'll see somebody else got this many followers. You'll see, and it's like, oh my God, I can't
ignore all of that.
Somebody I just want to give them my password and just let them create my stuff because I'm sick of being on there. But something that we look at or may take, take advantage of or say, oh, all she does is this. There's so many people out there that need your service, and so that's a blessing, and that's also a a servant. You're serving people. It's a ministry. It's your opportunity to find out more about people, and then that way you can create their content based on who they are and what they're trying to expand on. So I just thank you for being having that business, and then just being so passionate about it, because you could just post somebody's stuff and be like, here girl, put this on there. But the fact that you are very passionate behind what you're putting out there and how you're getting people's business to prosper, I'm just so thankful. I'm tired of Brian's cat. I'm just rid of that cat.
This cat wants to be on the show.
I never see that cat until Thursday at 4, and until he gets slapped in the face. I'm like, that cat is a hater. But anyway, so I'm like, I'm just so grateful for the things that you're doing, and we'll definitely be connecting. And if you can tell people where they can find you, Brian, can you put everything where they can find you? Do you have any books out there? Did I just manifest something into your life?
Where you and everybody else is asking for this book. Say that too loud. I probably got somebody watching on my Facebook page right now asking me about a book. The book is coming at some point in life, y'all. There's a lot going on. Books take a lot of work. I'm a busybody. So to get me to sit down and focus on writing a manuscript, or even to interview me and get me to talk about, it's a lot. When I retire from doing something else, I'll write a book. Right now, I am doing. So just watch me do. I do have workshops every once in a while that come up. We'll have one coming up in March.
Where can they go to find information about your workshops?
So if you go to workwithk.com, that's going to give you an overview of all of the services that I offer. We have a funnel camp program that we run that is an 8-week boot camp that teaches you how to build a marketing funnel based off of a single product or service, and then how to use the internet to get business and traffic to the funnel. If you go to workwithk.com, or if you go to the website and just sign up for like the little pop-up that pops up, we send out an email when we start to register for that. So you want to get on a waiting list for that. But if you find
a waiting list,
it's not a waiting list per se.
Okay.
I got to let you know.
You are doing really good.
Or when we're going to launch it again. So the workshop will come out in March, and then we'll launch the program in March after we've done the initial workshop. So that's the waiting list. It's just waiting for the announcement on what day it's going to come in March.
I felt special about the block. I'm like, shoot, I was like, B, we don't pass up the waiting list. We done got Kae on the show. The rest of y'all, wait.
Yeah. I got you. I will make sure that I let you know when it's coming. I was supposed to, I told my team that we were going to work on dropping a course a month. We still ain't got there because I'm still with these kids. So for now, just follow me everywhere. I am everywhere. It's Kae Whitaker. I try to be consistent as possible. Her 360, which is our podcast, it starts again on Valentine's Day with a special show with me and my honey. And then we'll have a show every week. We interview moms and couples that are trying to work, just trying to figure it out, and just like this here, we just have a conversation. But that's it. That I'm most active on Instagram. So if you shoot me a DM on Instagram, I'll likely shoot you like a voice note just to let you know I got it. And if you go to the website, then you can find everything you need there.
Well, Queen, you just keep doing what you do because you're doing it well. And so we are just excited to see whatever else you decide to do, whatever it is. I know that it would be a success because your passion behind what you do, and you got it. You got it.
And I want to say to the both of you all to keep doing that as well. Our kids, they need that. They need that, especially the ones that are still there that don't have it. Just like Brian said, the little boy that didn't have it yet, they need what you have. And I get excited when I see programs like yours. And if y'all need something, let me know. I'm here for it.
Hey, but that's what the Black Podcast is all about, is building those relevant relationships. So we definitely will be reconnecting with you um, on all different kind of things that we have going on that you can be a blessing to. So um, he has also put your information there in the for the crowd. So please, audience, make sure you go and find her. And look, you don't have to do the internet stuff by yourself. Okay, do it for you. So
We have a ball. We teach you how to tell stories and have fun. You don't want to be stressed out on internet. This is supposed to be a good
it
time.
is stressful. It be stressing me out. I know that for sure. I be stressed out.
No,
Boy,
we gotta get you
stressed
having
out.
fun. We gotta get you having fun. It don't work unless you have some fun.
I know, but it ain't fun being stressed out. That's like when I go to Hobby. What's that place called? Hobby Lobby.
Lobby, lobby.
My friend told me to go in that store. No, I'm supposed to be logging out, but my friend told me to go to that store, and she was like, "Yeah, all you gotta do is make a basket, for I don't even know what I was going to make." And so I was like, "Oh, okay." So I just go in there and pick up. I didn't know everything in there you gotta make.
I was thinking you went to Happy
I
Lobby.
was like,
Go
so
pick
I was asking the lady there, said nothing in here is put together. Like she was like, "No, the glue's over there and the ribbons over there and the sprinkle." I was like, "Oh no, I can't. I can't. I'm stressed out. I can't do that kind of stuff. Like I'm not. God didn't bless me to be crafty like that." So I called her. I was like, "Girl, do you have Cash App? I will Cash
I
App
will
you.
pay
And
you.
you go to Hobby Lobby and get the basket or the glue or whatever, because I can't do it. So you're a blessing. I'm just letting you know, because I don't have it at all. I
That
don't
is
That's
know.
that's why we work well. I'm the creative one, and I take the time to put together graphics and everything. She's like, "B, look, here's the information. Just go do it."
I do. I call her. Right, this is who we having on the February 4th. This is who she is. Go read about her. And then I don't know what else he does after that. I just know that he sends me a graphic and he just say post this. I say okay, because it works for us.
balance.
So, but again, thank you again for just being amazing, and just being just an inspiration to mothers, Black women, Black fathers, just our community as a whole. Thank you for just being you and continue to be you, because you are doing it well. And blessings to your family, your kids, and all the endeavors that you have moving forward.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, indeed. Keep doing you. So proud of you.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna put you in the backstage, and then we're gonna close it out.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, again, we had a special guest. Make sure you please go out, and I think her website was Work with K. So you need to work with K, especially if you're overwhelmed with internet and posting and all that stuff, because I know it's a lot for me. But just a lot of great nuggets, Brian. What do you think about her life story and how it all started for her to where she's at right now?
Honestly, those kids, I feel like, are an inspiration that really makes her be like, you know what? I got to keep on doing this. I got to keep on keeping on, because I know I can relate. But just, I remember, like you said, when we saw everything she was doing, she just all across the board. So,
And
women,
she's doing well.
so yeah, just very grateful to have women like that in the Black community, setting the example, setting the bar. Love it.
Absolutely. So make sure you go to workwithk.com. You can also find Kae Whitaker on all her social media. So make sure you go and support her business and use her business, because we all need it. We live in a world right now where everything is on the internet. So if you think you're running a business just by calling your friends, it ain't gonna work. You need to make sure that you expand your business on a larger scale, and Kae can help you get this. So go to workwithk.com. And again, we're the Black Podcast. We will see you here every Thursday at 4 p.m. Make sure you share this video, because you may not need it right now, but you never know who's in your circle that will. So please make sure that you share this video, and so we can continue to spread the knowledge to our community.
Yes, indeed. Y'all have a good one. See you next week. Same